Listen closely, because this moment did not arrive by accident, and it is not something to rush past as if it were ordinary. My beloved child, this moment found you for a reason, and even now there is a quiet pull inside you that told you to stay. Do not confuse this urgency with fear, because what you are feeling is not a threat closing in, but a door opening that will not remain open forever. There are moments in your life when heaven draws closer than usual, when the noise fades just enough for truth to reach you, and this is one of those moments. Stay with me here, because what is unfolding is not random, and what you are about to understand will change the way you see what has been happening around you. There has been a tension you could not explain, a delay that felt heavier than it should, a question that kept returning even when you tried to move on. And while part of you wondered if you were overthinking, another part of you knew something deeper was at work, something unseen, something waiting. This is why this message feels different, because it is not coming to pressure you, but to position you, not to alarm you, but to awaken you. There is a sacred timing moving around your life right now, and it is gentle, but it is also precise, and it does not force you, it invites you. When I say there are only seconds left, I am not speaking about a clock that punishes you, but about a window of clarity that appears and asks you to notice. And if you lean into it, even slightly, you will begin to see what was hidden, feel what was muted, and understand what once felt confusing. Archangel Michael stands near in this moment, not distant, not silent, but present with an intensity that is hard to ignore. And yes, there is emotion in that presence, not weakness, but a deep urgency born from care, from protection, from the desire to see you step into what is already being prepared. Those tears you sense are not sorrow over loss, but intensity over timing, because what is aligning for you matters, and it cannot be delayed forever. You have felt close to something before and then watched it slip, felt hope rise and then fall back into uncertainty, and that pattern has been exhausting. But this moment is not repeating that cycle, it is interrupting it, and that is why it feels both unfamiliar and important at the same time. There is something shifting beneath the surface, something being rearranged in ways you cannot yet fully see, but you can sense the movement if you slow down. In the next moments, you are going to understand a sign that has already begun appearing around you, and once you recognize it, you will not be able to unsee it. This sign will not come with noise or force, but with a quiet certainty that settles in your spirit and brings a clarity you have been searching for. And along with that sign, there will be a shift, a turning point where what once felt blocked begins to move, where what felt distant begins to draw near. You are not being asked to force this shift, only to recognize it and respond with trust instead of fear, with openness instead of resistance. Right now, just notice what is happening inside you, the slowing, the attention, the sense that something meaningful is unfolding even if you cannot name it yet. This is the beginning of clarity, not the end of confusion, but the turning point where confusion starts to lose its hold on you. And as you stay present here, you are going to be guided into understanding what has been working behind the scenes, and why this moment matters more than you realize. So stay with this, not out of pressure, but out of curiosity, out of openness, because what comes next will begin to reveal the deeper reason you were brought here, and gently show you what is already changing, even before you fully understand it now. There is a reason your attention did not wander away, a reason your heart paused instead of scrolling past, and it is not because of chance or coincidence. You were led here, gently but intentionally, because something within you was ready to hear what has been waiting to reach you. My beloved child, this is not random timing, this is alignment, quiet and precise, unfolding in a way you could not have arranged on your own. You may have been asking questions without words, carrying a weight you could not fully explain, feeling the tension between where you are and where you sense you are meant to be. There have been moments when you tried to push forward and nothing moved, and other moments when you stepped back and still felt no peace. That confusion has not been a sign that you are lost, it has been a sign that something deeper has been shifting beneath the surface. You have felt delays that seemed unnecessary, doors that closed without explanation, and silence where you expected clarity. And in those spaces, it was easy to wonder if you had missed something, if you had taken a wrong turn, or if you were simply being left to figure things out alone. But what you could not see is that even in those moments, you were not unprotected, and you were not without guidance. There is a difference between what is visible and what is real, and for a time, the visible has looked uncertain, unstable, even discouraging. Situations may have appeared to move against you, people may have misunderstood you, and circumstances may have seemed to resist your efforts. But while that visible layer felt chaotic, there has been another layer working quietly, consistently, protecting, redirecting, and holding back what was not meant for you. This is where the contrast becomes clear, because what you experienced as delay was often protection, what you felt as silence was often preparation, and what looked like rejection was often redirection. You were not being denied, you were being aligned. And alignment does not always feel comfortable while it is happening, because it requires shifts that you cannot fully see in the moment. There have been things that did not work out that you now realize would have carried consequences you were not ready for. There have been paths you almost took that would have drained you instead of building you. And even though it did not feel like it at the time, you were being guided away from what would have taken more from you than it could ever give back. At the same time, there have been small moments, quiet hints, subtle nudges that something was still moving forward. A thought that would not leave you, a sense of direction that kept returning, a feeling that there was more ahead even when nothing around you confirmed it. Those were not illusions, they were signals, gentle reminders that your story was still unfolding even in the waiting. Now you are beginning to stand at the point where things start to make more sense, not all at once, but step by step. Clarity is not arriving as a single overwhelming answer, but as a series of realizations that will build on each other. What seemed confusing will begin to connect, what felt delayed will begin to reveal its purpose, and what appeared uncertain will start to show direction. Stay with this unfolding, because the next part of what you are about to understand will begin to reveal what has been happening beyond your sight, and why the resistance you felt was never meant to stop you, but to shape the path you are now stepping into. What you are about to understand now may shift the way you interpret everything that has felt difficult, because the struggle you have been facing was not always visible, and it was never as simple as it appeared on the surface. There has been a battle around you that you could not fully see, a resistance that did not always have a clear source, and yet you felt its effects in your thoughts, your energy, your timing. You may have blamed yourself more than you should have, wondering if you lacked discipline, if you made the wrong choices, or if you simply were not doing enough. But not everything that slowed you down came from within you. Some of it came from misalignment that needed correction, some from timing that was not yet ready, and some from opposition that you were never meant to fight alone. There have been moments when things almost came together and then suddenly fell apart, when conversations shifted without explanation, when opportunities slipped just as you reached for them. That pattern was not coincidence, and it was not punishment. It was often interruption, a stopping of what looked good on the surface but carried something beneath it that would have cost you more than you realized. There is also a quieter truth that must be understood with wisdom and not fear. Not every energy around you has celebrated your growth. There have been traces of envy, subtle resistance, and even unspoken tension from others who could not understand the path you were walking. This did not mean you were surrounded by enemies, but it did mean that not every influence around you was aligned with your purpose. And yet, despite all of this, you are still here. You are still moving, still seeking, still listening. That alone tells you something important, because if everything had truly been against you, you would not have made it to this moment with your heart still open and your spirit still searching for truth. What you could not see was that protection was active even when you felt exposed. There were moments when things were held back, not to frustrate you, but to shield you. There were paths that closed, not to limit you, but to redirect you. There were delays that stretched longer than you expected, not to deny you, but to prepare what was coming into proper alignment. This is where the contrast becomes clear, because what felt like loss was often preservation, what seemed like silence was often strategy, and what appeared as chaos was often containment. You were not abandoned in those moments, you were being covered, guided through a process that required more precision than you could see at the time. Archangel Michael has not been distant from your journey. His presence has been steady, even when it felt quiet, even when you were unsure. Protection does not always arrive as something dramatic or visible. Sometimes it arrives as a closed door, a delayed answer, a sudden change that you did not ask for but later understand. There has been a guarding over your path, a watching over what comes close to you and what does not. Things have been filtered, redirected, and in some cases completely removed before they could take root in your life. And while you may not have recognized it in the moment, you are now beginning to see the pattern, that not everything you lost was meant to stay, and not everything that left was a setback. Now something is changing. The same force that held things back is beginning to release what is ready. What was once blocked is starting to open, not all at once, but in a way that will feel steady and clear. This is not the kind of movement that overwhelms you, but the kind that confirms itself as it unfolds. You are moving from a season of resistance into a season of alignment, and that transition can feel unfamiliar at first. After being used to delays, even progress can feel uncertain. But this time, you will begin to notice a difference. Things will begin to flow with less strain, decisions will feel clearer, and what once required constant effort will begin to respond more naturally. Stay with this understanding, because what comes next will guide you into how to recognize the shift as it happens within you, not just around you. You are not only being protected externally, you are also being prepared internally, and the next moment will invite you to slow down just enough to receive that signal clearly. Before you try to understand anything further, just pause. Not to stop your life, but to create a small space within it. Stay with me for a moment, because what you are about to receive will not come through pressure or overthinking, it will come through stillness. And this stillness is not empty, it is where clarity begins to form. Gently bring your attention to your breath. Do not change it, do not force it, just notice it. Notice the way it enters, the way it leaves, the quiet rhythm that has been there all along, even when your mind was racing. Let that rhythm slow you down, just enough to step out of the noise you have been carrying. Now soften your shoulders slightly, release any tension you did not realize you were holding. There is nothing you need to prove in this moment, nothing you need to solve right now. You are simply allowing yourself to be present, and that presence is more powerful than constant effort. As you stay here, you may begin to notice a subtle shift, something small but real. It could be a sense of calm that was not there a moment ago, or a gentle warmth in your chest, or even just a quieting of thoughts that were once loud. Do not chase it, do not question it, just allow it. This is how the signal begins, not as something overwhelming, but as something steady and grounding. For so long, you have been trying to understand everything from the outside, looking at situations, analyzing outcomes, trying to predict what will happen next. But clarity does not always arrive from the outside in. Sometimes it rises from within, quietly, when you finally give it space to be heard. There is a difference between reacting and receiving. Reacting comes from urgency and fear, but receiving comes from awareness and trust. Right now, you are shifting from reacting to receiving, from chasing answers to allowing them to come forward in the right way. Stay here just a little longer. Notice how your breathing has softened. Notice how your body feels compared to before. Even if the change is small, it matters. This is where alignment begins, not in dramatic moments, but in quiet awareness that builds over time. If a thought comes, let it pass gently. If a feeling rises, acknowledge it without holding on to it. You are not here to control what appears, you are here to create space for what is true to reveal itself. And truth does not rush, it settles in slowly, in a way that feels clear rather than forced. This moment of stillness is not separate from your life, it is preparing you to move through it differently. From this place, you will begin to see things with more clarity, respond with more intention, and recognize what is aligned without second-guessing yourself constantly. And as you come out of this stillness, Carry this awareness with you, because what you are about to understand next will build on this clarity. The shift that is unfolding around you will begin to make sense, and you will start to see where you are being guided, step by step, without confusion pulling you back the way it once did. Something is changing now, and if you stay aware, you will begin to notice it not as a sudden shock, but as a quiet shift that starts within you and then begins to reflect around you. This is the turning point you have been approaching, not a dramatic break from your past, but a realignment that changes how you move forward from here. For a long time, your timing felt uncertain. You tried to move ahead and met resistance, or you waited and felt stuck in place. It created a kind of inner tension, where you were unsure whether to act or hold back. But what is changing now is not just your circumstances, it is your alignment with the right moment to act, the right moment to release, and the right moment to trust. When you heard the words, 33 seconds left, it was never about fear or pressure, it was about awareness. It represents a moment where you become conscious of what is happening inside you and around you at the same time. It is the space between reaction and decision, where you are no longer acting out of habit, but choosing with clarity. In the past, many of your decisions were shaped by urgency, by the need to fix something quickly or to escape discomfort. That kind of pressure made everything feel immediate, even when it was not aligned. But now, you are stepping into a different way of responding, one that is slower, more intentional, and far more powerful. This is the shift in energy that has been building. You are moving from forcing outcomes to recognizing alignment. And there is a clear difference between the two. Forcing creates strain, confusion, and second-guessing. Alignment creates steadiness, clarity, and a quiet sense of knowing that does not need constant validation. So now, gently ask yourself, what have you been holding on to that feels heavy instead of supportive? It could be a situation, a pattern, a belief about yourself, or even an expectation that no longer fits where you are going. You do not need to push it away with force, just recognize it honestly. Awareness is the first step in releasing what no longer belongs in this next phase of your life. And then ask yourself, what feels lighter when you think about it, even if it also feels unfamiliar? What direction brings a sense of quiet clarity rather than pressure? What choice feels right, not because it is easy, but because it aligns with who you are becoming? These are the things you are being guided to move toward. You do not need to have every answer right now. The turning point is not about solving everything at once. It is about making one aligned decision at a time, trusting that each step will reveal the next. This is how clarity builds, not all at once, but through consistent awareness and intentional action. There is also something important to understand here. Breakthrough does not come from pushing harder against resistance. It comes from recognizing when something is no longer meant to be forced. When you stop trying to control every outcome, you create space for what is truly aligned to come forward. This does not mean you become passive or disconnected. It means your effort becomes focused, your actions become clearer, and your energy is no longer scattered across things that do not support your path. You begin to move with purpose instead of pressure. You may notice that certain things begin to shift more easily now. Conversations may feel more natural, decisions less confusing, opportunities more clear. This is not coincidence, it is a reflection of your internal alignment starting to match what is available to you externally. At the same time, you may also feel a pull to step away from things that once felt familiar. That can feel uncomfortable at first, because familiarity often feels safe even when it is no longer right. But this is part of the transition. You are not losing stability, you are refining it. Stay aware in these moments, because the more you notice what feels aligned versus what feels forced, the more confident your decisions will become. You will begin to trust yourself again, not based on past outcomes, but based on present clarity. And as this turning point continues to unfold, something else will begin to appear more clearly. The sign that was mentioned earlier is not separate from this shift, it is connected to it. As you move in alignment, you will begin to recognize that sign in a way that feels undeniable, and it will confirm that you are stepping in the right direction. So stay with this awareness, because what comes next will help you recognize that sign when it appears, and show you exactly how to respond when it does. Now listen carefully, because this is the moment you were being prepared for, the answer to the question that has been forming quietly within you. The sign you have been waiting for is not something distant or dramatic, it is something that has already begun to appear, and once you recognize it, you will understand why it could not come any other way. The sign is not noise, it is peace. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of a steady calm in the middle of them. It is a clarity that does not argue with you, does not rush you, and does not confuse you. It settles in gently, yet firmly, and when it arrives, something inside you becomes still instead of restless. For a long time, you have been used to signals that felt urgent, loud, and overwhelming. You may have mistaken anxiety for guidance, pressure for direction, or fear for intuition. But this sign is different. It does not push, it confirms. It does not demand, it aligns. And that is how you will know it is real. You may notice it in a moment when you expected to feel uncertain, but instead feel calm. You may find yourself thinking about a decision that once overwhelmed you, and suddenly there is a quiet sense of clarity that was not there before. That is not accidental. That is alignment making itself known to you. The sign may also come through repetition, not in a forceful way, but in a consistent one. The same idea returning to you in different forms. A message you hear, a conversation that reflects what you were just thinking, a phrase that appears more than once in a short span of time. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations being layered gently so you can recognize them without doubt. There may be an encounter, a moment with someone where something they say stays with you longer than expected. Not because it was dramatic, but because it felt right. It connected to something you already sensed but had not fully trusted. That is another way the sign appears, through alignment between what you hear and what you already carry within. And sometimes, the sign will be internal. A knowing that rises without explanation. A sense that a certain step is right, even if it is not the easiest option. This kind of clarity does not come with loud emotion, it comes with steadiness. It does not fluctuate quickly, it remains consistent even when your surroundings change. You may also notice what does not feel right anymore. Things that once held your attention may begin to feel heavy or unnecessary. That contrast is part of the sign as well. As clarity grows, misalignment becomes easier to recognize. You are not losing interest without reason, you are gaining awareness of what no longer fits. When this sign appears, your response matters. Not in a way that creates pressure, but in a way that invites trust. The first thing to do is pause. Do not rush to act immediately. Let the clarity settle fully. Give yourself a moment to feel it without overanalyzing it. Then acknowledge it. You can do this quietly, simply recognizing that what you are sensing is real. You do not need to prove it to anyone else. This is not about external validation, it is about internal confirmation. After that, take a small step in alignment with what you received. It does not need to be a large or dramatic action. In fact, the most powerful steps are often simple and intentional. A conversation you choose to have, a decision you make, a direction you begin to move toward. These actions strengthen the clarity rather than weaken it. As you take that step, observe what happens. Alignment often brings a sense of flow, not perfection, but a reduction in resistance. Things may begin to connect more easily, or you may feel less conflicted about your choices. This is how you know you are moving with the sign, not against it. It is also important not to return to old patterns of doubt too quickly. Your mind may try to question what you felt, especially if you are used to uncertainty. But remember the difference you experienced. The calm, the steadiness, the lack of pressure. That is your reference point now. The sign is not a single event, it is a pattern that will continue to reveal itself as you stay aligned. Each confirmation builds on the last, creating a path that becomes clearer with every step you take. You are not being asked to leap blindly, you are being guided to move with awareness. And as you begin to trust this process, something deeper will unfold. You will start to see how what once felt like delay was actually leading you to this clarity, how what once felt uncertain was preparing you to recognize truth without confusion. There is more to understand about how this shift plays out in real life, and how others have walked through a similar moment and found their way forward. Stay with this, because what comes next will show you that you are not alone in this experience, and that this path you are stepping into has already begun to open in ways you are just starting to see. Let me share something with you, not as a distant story, but as a reflection of what this path can look like when someone chooses to stay through the confusion instead of walking away from it too soon. This is about someone who stood where you may be standing now, carrying questions, feeling delays, wondering if anything would truly shift. There was a woman who had been trying to move forward in her life for years. She had plans that never seemed to fully come together, relationships that felt promising but ended without clear reasons, and opportunities that appeared just long enough to give her hope before slipping away again. Over time, she began to question herself. She wondered if she was missing something, if she was making the wrong decisions, or if she was simply not meant to experience the kind of stability she longed for. She kept pushing forward at first, trying harder each time something did not work out. But the more she forced things, the more resistance she encountered. It felt like she was constantly moving, yet not truly progressing. That tension slowly turned into exhaustion, and that exhaustion began to affect how she saw everything. What once felt possible started to feel distant. Then something shifted, not outside of her at first, but within her. She reached a point where she could no longer keep forcing outcomes that did not align. It was not a moment of giving up, but a moment of honest surrender. She stopped trying to control every detail and instead began to sit with what she was feeling, even when it was uncomfortable. In that stillness, she started to notice small changes. Her thoughts became less chaotic. The urgency she once felt began to soften. And in place of that urgency, there was a quiet awareness that she had not experienced before. She could not explain it fully, but it felt different, steady, grounded. Around that time, she began to notice what we spoke about earlier, the sign. It did not come in a dramatic way. It showed up as a sense of peace when she thought about a certain direction she had been hesitant to take. It appeared in conversations that seemed ordinary but carried meaning that stayed with her. It repeated itself in small ways, just enough to get her attention without overwhelming her. Instead of dismissing it like she had done in the past, she chose to pause. She acknowledged what she was sensing and allowed herself to trust it, even if she did not have all the answers. Then she took a small step, not a leap, just one aligned action that felt right in that moment. What happened next was not instant perfection, but it was different. The resistance she was used to began to ease. Situations that once felt complicated became clearer. She found herself making decisions with less doubt and more confidence. And slowly, things began to move in a way that felt natural rather than forced. Looking back, she realized something important. The delays she once resented had protected her from paths that would have drained her. The confusion she struggled with had prepared her to recognize clarity when it finally arrived. And the stillness she once avoided had become the place where everything began to make sense. Her breakthrough was not a single event, but a series of aligned moments that built on each other. Each time she trusted the calm instead of the pressure, she moved closer to where she was meant to be. Each time she chose awareness over urgency, she strengthened her ability to move forward with clarity. And now, when she looks at her life, she no longer sees the delays as wasted time. She sees them as part of the process that led her to a place of understanding, stability, and direction. Not everything is perfect, but everything feels aligned, and that alignment has brought her a sense of peace she once thought was out of reach. This story is not separate from you. It is here to show you what becomes possible when you follow the same pattern, when you recognize the sign, trust the shift, and move with alignment instead of pressure. And as you continue, you will begin to see how this can take shape in your own life, step by step, in ways that are real and lasting. Now that you can recognize the shift and understand the sign, the next step is not complicated, but it does require intention. This is where everything begins to take shape in a practical way, not through pressure or urgency, but through simple, consistent actions that align with what you have already received. The first step is to release. Not forcefully, not all at once, but consciously. Take a moment and notice what still feels heavy, what creates tension when you think about it, what keeps pulling you back into confusion. You do not need to solve it right now, you only need to acknowledge it honestly. When you recognize something that no longer aligns, you begin to loosen its hold on you. Release is not about losing something valuable, it is about making space for what is already trying to enter your life. The second step is to pray, but in a way that is different from what you may have done before. This is not about repeating words without connection, it is about speaking with awareness. Keep it simple. You can say, "Guide me clearly. Help me recognize what is aligned. Give me peace in my decisions." Then pause. Prayer is not only speaking, it is also listening. Allow a few moments of quiet after you speak, because that is where clarity often begins to settle. The third step is to act, but only in alignment. You are not being asked to take large, overwhelming steps. In fact, the most powerful progress you can make right now comes from small, intentional actions. If something feels clear, move toward it gently. If a conversation needs to happen, approach it calmly. If a decision is ready to be made, make it without rushing. Aligned action does not create confusion, it creates momentum that feels steady and sustainable. The fourth step is to observe. This is where you begin to see how your alignment affects what unfolds around you. Pay attention to how things respond when you act from clarity instead of pressure. Notice what flows more easily and what continues to resist. This is not about judging outcomes, it is about learning how alignment reveals itself in real time. To support these steps, give yourself a small daily practice. It does not need to take more than a few minutes. Each day, take 2 to 5 minutes to sit quietly, breathe, and check in with yourself. Ask one simple question: what feels aligned today? Let the answer come without forcing it. This short moment of awareness will keep you connected to the clarity you are building. Consistency matters more than intensity here. You do not need to do everything perfectly, and you do not need to feel completely certain all the time. What matters is that you return to this process regularly. Each time you release, pray, act, and observe, you strengthen your ability to move with alignment instead of confusion. There may still be moments when doubt appears. That is natural. But instead of letting it take over, return to what you now understand. Return to the calm you felt, the clarity you recognized, the pattern you are beginning to trust. Doubt loses its strength when you no longer react to it immediately. You are not being asked to do this alone. There is support around you, guidance that continues even when you do not notice it clearly. But your role is important. You are the one who chooses to stay aware, to respond differently, to take the steps that align with what you have received. As you continue with this, you will begin to feel more grounded in your decisions, more confident in your direction, and less affected by the confusion that once held you back. This is not about becoming perfect, it is about becoming aligned, and alignment brings a kind of peace that does not depend on everything being certain. And as you move forward with these steps, you are being prepared for a deeper moment of connection, a space where you will anchor this clarity even more fully and speak it into your life with intention. Stay with this, because what comes next will help you seal what you have received and strengthen it in a way that continues beyond this moment. Now come with me into a quiet moment, not to perform, not to impress, but to connect. Let everything you have just understood settle gently within you. You do not need to rush this. You do not need perfect words. You only need honesty and presence. Take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, allow your shoulders to soften again. Let your body come into a place of ease. This is where your spirit becomes more receptive, where what you speak carries deeper meaning because it comes from awareness instead of urgency. Now, in your own heart, or softly with your voice, begin this prayer. God, I come to you with an open heart. I may not understand everything, but I trust that you are guiding me even when I cannot see clearly. I release what has been heavy on me, the confusion, the pressure, the need to force outcomes. I place it in your hands, knowing that I do not have to carry it alone. Guide my thoughts so they become clear. Calm my heart so I can recognize what is true. Remove what is not aligned with my path, even if I do not fully understand it yet. And strengthen me to move forward with peace instead of fear. I ask for protection over my life, over my decisions, over what comes close to me. Let only what is meant for me remain, and gently remove what is not. Surround me with clarity, with wisdom, and with a steady sense of direction that does not waver when things feel uncertain. Help me recognize the signs you place before me. Help me trust the calm that you give me. And give me the courage to take the next step when the moment comes, even if it feels small. Let my actions reflect alignment, not pressure, and let my choices bring me closer to where I am meant to be. I choose to trust your timing. I choose to stay present. And I choose to move forward with clarity. Now pause for a moment. Let those words settle. You do not need to repeat anything. Just notice how you feel. Even if the change is subtle, it matters. This is how anchoring begins, not with intensity, but with steadiness. If it feels right to you, you can affirm this moment by simply saying, I receive divine clarity. Say it once, not out of habit, but with awareness. Let it reflect what you are choosing to accept within yourself. As you sit here, allow a sense of peace to expand gently within you. This peace is not dependent on everything being resolved right now. It is a sign that you are aligned, that you are supported, that you are not moving through this alone. There is protection around you, even when you cannot see it directly. There is guidance unfolding, even when it is not fully visible yet. And there is a path opening, step by step, as you continue to move with awareness and trust. Carry this feeling with you as you continue. Let it influence how you think, how you respond, how you decide. You do not need to hold on to it tightly. Just allow it to remain in the background, steady and present. And as this moment comes to a close, know that what you have anchored here is not temporary. It is something you can return to whenever you need it. And in the next part, you will be gently guided into understanding how to carry this clarity forward into your daily life with confidence and peace. As you come to the end of this moment, take a breath and notice how different everything feels compared to when you first arrived here. You began with questions, with tension, with a sense that something was uncertain. And now, even if not everything is fully answered, there is a shift. There is a calm that was not there before, a clarity that has begun to form, and a quiet understanding that you are not moving through this alone. What you have received here is simple, but it is powerful. You have been reminded that what felt like delay was often protection, that what felt confusing was part of a deeper alignment, and that what once seemed uncertain is now beginning to reveal its direction. Nothing about your journey has been wasted. Every moment has been shaping you, guiding you, preparing you for this turning point. There is protection around you, even in moments when it is not visible. There is guidance present, even when it feels quiet. And there is timing unfolding in a way that is far more precise than it may have seemed before. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be to take the next aligned step forward. As you move beyond this moment, carry what you have felt here with you. Let the calm guide your decisions. Let the clarity shape your actions. Let the awareness you have gained become part of how you respond to everything that comes next. You do not need to return to old patterns of pressure or doubt. You have already stepped into something new, something steadier, something more aligned. There may still be moments when uncertainty tries to return. That is natural. But now you have something to come back to. You have the stillness you experienced, the understanding you gained, and the awareness of the sign that continues to guide you. Each time you return to that, you strengthen your path and move further into alignment. Remember this clearly. You are not alone in this transition. There is support around you in ways you may not always see, and there is a presence that continues to guide and protect you as you move forward. You are being led, not forced. You are being aligned, not rushed. And everything that is meant for you is finding its way to you at the right time. If this message resonated with you, and you feel that sense of clarity settling within, you are welcome to stay connected to this space. There will be more guidance, more moments like this, more reminders that help you stay grounded and aligned as you continue your journey. Only if it feels right to you, you can subscribe and return whenever you need that clarity again. Now, receive this final blessing. May your mind remain clear, even when situations around you are not. May your heart stay steady, even when emotions rise and fall. May your path become more visible with each step you take, and may you trust that you are being guided in ways that are both gentle and certain. May anything that no longer aligns with you fade naturally from your life, without struggle or confusion. And may everything that is meant for you come forward with ease, clarity, and purpose. May you walk forward with confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust the guidance you are receiving. And above all, may you carry peace with you. Not a temporary feeling, but a steady presence that remains with you as you move through each day, reminding you that you are supported, protected, and moving exactly where you are meant to go. Stay in that peace, and move forward knowing that this is only the beginning of what is now unfolding in your life.